Hello aqua friends, welcome to my channel. My name is Nicole. Hey, let me ask you a question. What is your favorite springtime animal to paint in watercolor? I love robins, and I am going to show you guys how to paint this cute little robin. How do you think you do a blurry background and have a nice sharp foreground? Since the foreground bird is quite large, instead of having to mask him out, you can just paint around him. So you want to get your background paper nice and wet, and you're going to take your time really wetting the background multiple times with a nice big flat brush and just carefully go around the silhouette of the bird. This reference photo is from a Facebook group that shares their fantastic photographs for artists to use. It's completely free. It's called Free Reference Photos for Artists, so you can go ahead and look up a robin and do a similar photo, or you can use the sketch that I will provide in the description below. So I'm making my puddles of paint, and we want to have everything ready to go. So now that our background is nice and wet, I'm adding in the blue sky. This is really light and soft, and tilting our paper does help to get a really nice smooth transition for this background. Now you do want to pick up the bead of water along the edges of your painting so that you don't get any back runs. And a back run is when your painting is starting to dry, but you got extra moisture and it will create a hard edge. So I noticed that I still have quite a bit of water on my paper. I'm going ahead and tilting my paper, as you can see. Now we got this beautiful soft blue background. That is manganese blue that I'm using, by the way. Now I'm just lifting some areas with my brush, with a damp brush, to put in some of these purpley pink colors. And because our paper is still wet, it's going to be nice and soft in appearance. So just a hint of some cherry blossoms in the background, because what's more spring than that? All right, so now I'm mixing some blue with my pink to get a purple, and I'm putting in these soft branches. And I'm doing it very loosely, as you can see, just in a very loose fashion, just to suggest some branches here. And if your paper's starting to dry and you're getting harder edges, you could always take a fluffy, clean, dry brush and just soften it out a little bit. Now there are some areas of the tree branch that is blue that I'm actually going to put a coat of blue on the rest of that tree branch, because when we go to do our foreground layer, it's going to be a different color if we don't add a little layer of blue on top. So now we're just going to let that whole thing dry. We have a very pretty soft background. And then to get a nice sharp image of the bird, we're going to do some layering. So we're going to put down a first layer of paint on him, and I'm starting off by wetting the whole bird first. And you always want to start with your lightest colors, because it's easier to go darker, but it's not so easier to get back those light areas. And you don't want to overwork your painting. So I'm getting the underbelly colors of those warm colors under his belly. And then I'm coming in with my browns. So the various colors that I've used for the bird, are a burnt sienna. I also have quinacridone sienna. That's a really nice orangey color. It's a little bit more punch of orange than the burnt sienna. I also used raw sienna, and burnt umber or Van Dyke brown is a really nice brown as well. I'm slowly building up these orange colors, and as you can see, he's pretty ugly right now. Now this is called the ugly stage of watercolor, guys. Bear with me, it's gonna get better. So it'll get better with more layers, and that's just the process. You might start off a watercolor and think, oh my god, this is awful, I'm not good at it, but that's just the way watercolor goes. You have to build up the colors, and working through those different value stages are tough sometimes. I'm from Canada, so of course we have robins up north, but then we moved to Pennsylvania. There's abundance of wildlife here, and I have a ton of robins that make their homes in my yard. And when I moved out to California, there were no robins, and I really, really miss these beautiful orange-bellied, beautiful song singers. So what I'm doing now is there is a section of his hair underneath his wings that's lighter. So to get the white of the paper back, I'm doing a controlled bloom by using a damp script liner brush. So I take the bead of water off my script liner brush, I make those cross hatching marks. And each time I'm cleaning my brush off and I'm making sure there's not too much water on my brush. So that's a little textural effect that you can get, and I do think it adds. I use this a lot for branches in landscapes. You could use it for feathers. You could use it for fur on animals. It's a lot of fun, and it's very effective, and it's much better than having those hard edges from masking fluid, because you'll get a soft edge effect. So coming in with those darker browns, as you can see, and working on the wings. So I'm going to dry my first layer of the bird. And we are going to add some more colors and make them prettier, don't worry. I want that warm color of his under feathers a little bit more, so I'm adding in some of my raw sienna. Another great color would be yellow ochre. Ever since I started using raw sienna though, guys, I find it a prettier yellow than yellow ochre. So I've been using that more. It has a little bit more punch of brightness. So everything is still damp, and I'm just adding in some darker feathers with my script liner brush for some more defined feathers here and there. As it dries, you'll have more definition. Now I really want to punch up that orange color on his cute little head and his belly, so I'm pre-wetting those areas. Now I am going to be using my burnt sienna. Well, I'm actually starting off with that yellow ochre. So always wanting that really, really rich and warm undertones. And then once I have that in there, I'll go in with more of my oranges. So the spots that are really, really bright, russet color, I'm using that quinacridone sienna. I just love that. It's from Daniel Smith, and it's just such a gorgeous orange. And then where things aren't quite as brightly lit orange, I'll just use my burnt sienna. So I'm kind of doing a combo of both there. It's also very nice when you pull out those feathers and you just flick your brush along the silhouette of him, and it just makes him look so fluffy and cute. So as you can see, the more layers we add, the more values that we add, he's starting to come together. He's starting to look more like a robin, and he's starting to look cute coming out of that ugly stage. There's always tons of nests in my yard, and I always love to peek and from a distance. They love to hang out by my hot tub for some reason outside. They always make nests up in the rafters of the deck. And they're just so cute when they're just little and so fluffy. But then if you're sitting out there, you have the mama bird that screeches at you because she doesn't like you to be that close. So it's not that relaxing outside. But that's okay. They're really cute. Hope you guys are getting value from this video. If you like my artwork and you find my instructions helpful, I would love it if you would hit that like button, leave me some comments, and please subscribe to my channel. That helps me out with the YouTube algorithms a lot, so I appreciate it. There's a section underneath that one wing that's very, very dark. So this is like the darkest values right here. And if you squint at your reference photo, you'll be able to tell where you need to add more color. And you want to look for shadows, like there's a shadow underneath that wing. So you need to put that in there. The transition from the browns to the reds. I'm just adding some more of those controlled blooms by doing that feathery effect with my script liner brush. And so you see all those textures that are coming in. It looks pretty neat. Now going for working on that beak next. Starting off with my raw sienna for his beak. Coming in with some browns. My darkest brown, by the way, you guys, I love this sepia. I love using sepia and neutral tints too, if you really need it dark, kind of mixed together. Those are fantastic colors together for really dark darks. Or lots of people love Payne's Gray. I find Payne's Gray to be a little bit on the purple side, so I prefer to use neutral tint. Now for his cute little eye, there is reflection in his eye, so I'm starting off with a very light color of brown and then going in with my very dark neutral tint. Now he's really starting to come together, looks quite handsome. I actually think this is a pregnant mama. I think it's a girl bird. She's so chubby, or she's so darn cute. Adding a little bit more definition in those wings of his or hers. So for the branch, I love to use a combination of neutral tint and some blues because you will get a really nice shadowy color. So using a little bit, whatever I have in my palette there. Actually looks like I used some marine blue. I'm like hooked on aqua colors. It's my favorite color. But I'm going to add a lot of texture. I'm going to do lots of things to this branch. So no worries there. We're going to blend in these colors. And now I'm dropping in some of my sepia colors, adding little knots and imperfections to make it look a little more realistic. Making the underside darker because that's where the shadows are. And the lines and sort of dry brush effects. You could do so many things to make branches look really interesting. So the only thing that are missing are his cute little feet, and I am just picking up and scrubbing a little area there where I'm going to be putting in his cute little toes. So I'm just lifting that area where the claws are so that I could drop in fleshy tones for his feet. Also lifting up some highlights on the branch. My favorite time to paint is in the morning, and as you can see, I'm wearing PJs. Looking at my arm, I'm like, oh yeah, that was when I was wearing my PJs. So getting in his cute little toes, his feet, and notice I'm going dark right underneath the foot because there's some shadows there, so it makes his little feet and claws pop out. So I think she's quite cute, and I was really happy the way this turned out. And that's how you guys successfully do a layered painting with a soft background and an in-focus foreground. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you guys next week.